welcome to Late Night Love, the podcast where we dive deep into life's messy, heartfelt moments. From parenting struggles to social dilemmas, we keep it real, raw, and refreshingly honest. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's talk about things that keep us up at night. So we were talking before we came on the show about, you wanted me to explain something, and I said, oh, well,
clips.
Oh, with the Opus Clips people. Yeah.
I said clips.
Well, anyway, like I said, I didn't remember. Yes, I have a 9 o'clock meeting with because I'm like, we're a customer, right? And they added some new feature, and they wanted to talk about workflow because apparently they know that the workflow is goofy that they've created for this thing. And so I was going to sit there, have a 15-minute chat with them at 9 o'clock.
Nice.
So that's what all that is about.
So we're considered a importante client.
No, I just responded to their survey, to their outreach thing. I'm sure they sent it to everybody. I'm just one of the morons who said, sure, why not? Because I'm willing to do that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, help a buddy out. Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
All right. So before we start, let's remind you that you can send your questions, comments, suggestions, dilemmas, whatever, to love@latenightLove.us. We have a contact page on our website at love.latenightLove.us. And you can always catch us on Facebook and whatnot. Lubby should be watching those things.
Sure.
You should get notifications, so you shouldn't have to watch it that closely. But yeah. Well, somebody has to watch the social media things that you've liked, subscribed, and shared.
Oh, yeah, I'm all over it.
Yeah, so somebody is. Somebody should be about this kind of thing. But anyway, so, all right, that's enough jibber jabber. So what do we've got tonight? We're on our life questions, even though I didn't change them onto the website.
You want to do relationships or you want to do work?
No, they go, it's life, love, then relationships.
Life is
The first one.
life is work.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it's work and other things.
And other things. All right. Okay, first question. Why is there a shortage of skilled workers in America despite the unemployment rate?
That's okay. Those connections don't necessarily make the same thing because you can be skilled. We can have lots of skilled labor, lots of skilled people who are skilled and educated in lots of things. But if you're not skilled or educated in the things that are currently needed where you happen to be, then you don't have the skills needed of where you are and happen to be. The plus side is skills can be learned.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've been complaining for a long time that, companies have skirted their responsibility to train their own employees. They tried to pass this off onto schools and colleges and universities and whatnot, and that has been a failure, shall we say, to put it bluntly. They should be responsible. Businesses and unions are the people who should be training these people. They should be the ones doing the outreaches. These are the people who should be doing the training and apprenticeship programs for the workers that we need. Because what we need is plumbers and electricians. And we don't mean the electricians who come by and fix your house. We mean the electricians who work on the heavy duty power lines and it can install all this solar equipment, dealing with the high power stuff. People who can work in power plants and those kind of things. Those are the people that are in short supply. It's not the electrician you call to fix your house. We need more of those too. But the people we're really short of, the linemen, people go out in the storms and reconnect your power. And those people get paid a lot.
Because it's
dangerous. Well, it's not just because it's dangerous, because there's only a handful of them. There's not enough of them. This is supply and demand. If there's not enough of people in an industry, those people who are in that industry get paid a lot. Mm-hmm. Because there's always somebody else willing to pay them more. Sorry, it's why the small jobs in that kind of bit, the small jobs get sometimes, it was a couple of years ago, it was hard to get a contractor, just someone to come over and do a simple job. It's because they were busy. They didn't have time for your $300, $500 job. They had a $10,000 job, always waiting around the corner. I'd love to do it, but I ain't got time. So you had to take a risk and hire some handyman with suboptimal skills. The benefit of that is that handyman over time got better skills and could become a reliable person, and he starts to, and you start to fill in the gaps. But, unions and businesses should be doing that. That's the role they play. It's not some defined role. It's just how nature works. But we have offloaded that. So anyway, there isn't a shortage of skilled workers. It's where the workers are and where the skills are needed. The things are just different. And it's up to you as a worker to go out and train yourself. If you are ultimately, we all are responsible for ourselves. Find the union, find the business that's willing to train you. And the skills and the jobs needed. So, but there's always going to be a mismatch in the economy. There just always is, because old technologies die and new ones come in place. And when a new one comes in place, there's not enough people to work at it because there's no one's ever done it before. So you're trying to take transferable skills until you can train people up. That's just how it works. Okay, what's next?
Well, apparently I did a mistake in my research.
All right.
Because we only have one employment question, and we have a plethora of parenting questions.
Oh, yes, we do. And I did not QA you this week because I didn't have time. All right, so we are got a plethora of well, it's a good thing this is life questions. So almost anything can go under life.
Yeah.
It's not just work, it's life. We generally cover a lot of work-related,
all right,
culture-related things.
Let me skip around here. Let's see what we got. All right. Okay. Oh, this one.
Okay.
Teacher says kids will get their hands cut off. They were painting. And so you touch that paint, you're going to get your hands cut off.
Well, okay, for those of us who are old and yeah, it's a metaphor. No one's actually going to get their hands cut off. We all know this. It's just a thing. It's hyperbole for effect. It's how we were all raised. Hyperbole for effect. There was some truth to it. It wasn't actually,
You know what my mother used to say?
Yeah.
I'll snatch you bald-headed.
Yeah. We brought you into this world. We'll take
you out.
Yeah. So for our generation, that's like, and but for the modern generation, I get while parents, people who are younger than us in their 30s, would find that initially off-putting because they were raised to be victims. We did it. We screwed them up. We raised them to be victims accidentally, on purpose, trying to protect them from everything on the planet. We ended up protecting them from everything but themselves. And so now they are hypersensitive to literally everything. Simple hyperbole for effect is now, it's now a thing. It's now some kind of thing to get you emotionally worked up. Here's the thing. Learn to separate.
Yeah, but you know what? I think teachers do not fall into the category of you're allowed to say that.
I think teachers are the people we should give the freedom to say.
No.
They have to deal with 20 plus kids day in and day out.
Not about violence.
It's
not about committing violence on
No, I don't.
I'm sorry. I'm not. I can't.
This is why
I'm with this one.
This is why we have school choice, because we should be sending our kids to the same schools. I want my child to understand there's consequences, and I don't care if hyperbole is involved. And teachers should be able to scare the crap out of my children.
Are you saying you cannot connect consequences and not be physically threatening?
Have you met boys? You raised girls. You didn't raise boys. You can do all the gentle parenting nonsense you want, and they got to do stop diddly squat to half the boys, 2/3 of the boys out there. That's why it doesn't work. We've got examples up on the streets. Our schools are an abject failure. Guess why? Because you can't be blunt with anybody anymore.
You can be blunt.
No, you can't. Because
you're going to be in serious trouble, mister.
Ooh, scare me. No one cares because they know what the serious trouble is. They don't even get sent to a corner anymore. There's no serious trouble.
Detention.
No one cares about detention. You sit in the thing and you pick your nose.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Well, that's, you have to give up a Saturday. Sorry.
We don't give up Saturdays anymore.
No.
Yeah, but exactly.
That's the trouble. You have to give up a Saturday, dude. A whole day.
Here's the thing. I just skip detention. What are you going to do? Suspend me?
Yeah.
Sweet. I get the day off. That's what I was in detention for in the first place, was for skipping school. So you're going to punish me from skipping school by telling me not to come to school.
Sorry.
Sweet.
There's a
win.
Change.
Okay. That is a victory. You're setting yourselves up for. I'm just saying. I have no problems with this one. So we're disagreeing.
Okay, we'll disagree.
Yeah, I've got no problems with it. Hyperbole for effect when you're dealing with a bunch of rambunctious, knuckleheaded children who won't keep their hands to themselves.
Only if they're your own.
See, all right. So what's next?
I can do that. You can't. How do you survive parenting without a village? Oh man.
What do you mean?
You need some support. Somebody you can trust at the very minimum to do babysitting so you can get a night off.
I don't know. The very fact that you're talking about surviving parenting, there's nothing to survive parenting. You just do it. Again, this is one of these things. These people have been programmed to be a victim. As a parenting is something you survive, something you manage. It's just life. You deal with it.
It's lonely, man.
Well, sure, it's lonely, but everything is lonely. Life is lonely. Parenting is actually the least lonely part of life.
No, I think they're being a little bit dramatic, but I mean, I feel the ache for adult conversation.
Well, and here's the thing. If you want the village to help you with your child, the village is going to help you with your child. And some of them are going to tell your kids to not touch that or else your hands are going to get cut off. You're going to have to accept that. So here's the thing. Accept it or don't. If you want to raise the children, your family, the way you want to raise your children, your family, it's going to be a lonely experience.
That's true.
And if you want to,
if you don't have a thick skin, people telling you should do this and you should do that, then do not go into those mommy groups.
If you are gonna lean on other people to help raise your children, those other people are going to help raise your children, and that's going to come with things that you don't agree with, and you're just going to have to accept it. So I prefer the lonely road, but that's me. Clearly. All right, what's next?
The 2-year-old always screams when dad takes him.
It's not all that unusual.
Not really.
What are they, like separated or something and goes off to dad, or are they
just in the normal course of here, hold the baby. I take care of the baby. I'm cooking right now.
Yeah. This is what happens. My suspicion is that child is overly attached to his mother.
Yeah.
She needs to let him sit on the floor and scream on occasion, throw his temper tantrum while she's off doing things. He's not doing it because he doesn't like dad. He's doing it because it pulls on mama's heartstrings and he gets what he wants. And it's not a thought, right? It's a 2-year-old. It's a want, need reaction, right? There's no conniving or anything into it. It's just what they do. If you want mom gives me thing. And so I scream, mom comes. Yay, I'm going to scream when mom, that's just, it's cause and effect. So mom's going to have to come less often when he's upset, and either send dad or a sibling or just let him work through it on their own. They're 2. They can work through emotions on their own. They're reaching that age where if they're just throwing a tantrum because they want a candy, well, sometimes the solution is to let them throw a tantrum.
Or I agree with that.
It's not easy. It's for a new mother, especially.
But to tell you the truth, I wouldn't have caught that. The kid just is not against dad. He just wants mom.
Yeah.
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 He just has a preference right now, and it will pass.
Or won't. It'll ease. It'll evolve.
Yeah.
But yeah. But my guess is mom has been the primary caregiver for his entire life.
Oh, this one is going to be great. Remember, remember the stage where they fall in love with mom and they're going to marry mom.
Yeah.
Now this one is going to be particularly tough.
Well, we don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So
If it's a boy, I don't know. I forget.
yeah, it's kind of seems more like a boy thing. Girls don't seem to scream when you take them away because they like daddy more. There is some truth to the mama's boy and daddy's girl thing, and it's a nature thing. I don't know what it is. So it just is. Okay, what's next?
Let's see. Oh, my daughter is possessive over her baby sibling, and she's 8.
Mhm.
And she's autistic, but
Mhm.
she's very high functioning. She's verbal. Okay.
Okay.
But she's very fixated on the baby.
Okay.
Now, I don't understand what the problem is.
There may not be a problem other than, autistic kids don't always make good decisions. And so if you're overly fixated, not intentionally hurting it, but you know what I mean? Accidents can happen. And so you're increasing that, theoretically anyway, that risk. There's got to be something for her to write in and be concerned about other than maybe it's just, hey, it's a little weird for the 8-year-old to be overly obsessed with the infant.
She was concerned about that.
Maybe
at 8,
Well, but autistic at 8, that's what they do, right? They get hyper focused on whatever thing happens to catch their
interest. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever
this is
that
classic.
And so whether it's a baby or a video game or fire trucks.
And to tell you the truth, I mean, I understand it's hyper focused, but any 8-year-old little girl is going to be very interested in the new baby. And, that's her baby,
Yeah, well, and at 8 years old, maybe this time you can start using that interest to teach the life skills that she's going to need. Use that interest.
Ooh, yeah.
How to plan a meal, how to.
Now she's 8. What about some very simple first aid?
Yeah, whatever she can take. My theory is whatever they're old enough, and you as a parent know, what level your child can take
That's
or not.
That's a good one, hon.
Yeah, use that. You know me, I'm always, if you're going to teach your child, find out what they're interested in and use that as a funnel, and until they're tired of you using that as a funnel, and then you use something else. And that's it. Now, if you're smart, you find out, you can notice when they're starting to get tired and switch to something else before they actually get tired of that thing, so you don't ruin that thing for them. You want to be careful. You don't want to ruin a thing for them.
Yeah.
We learned that lesson. So one of our child was freaky with numbers, and so it became kind of like a parlor trick. And so people come, he likes numbers, likes doing numbers in his head. Well, at some point he gets tired of it.
No, I won't do it anymore.
Yeah. I screwed that one up. But that's, sometimes you learn these lessons the hard way. Even that's what it is. All right.
Okay. We found concerning thing on my daughter's phone. What should I do? She's 11 and she was mean.
You take her phone away and you explain why. Not forever. You make sure the consequences, right? There's no place in the world for mean girls or mean boys or bullying or that kind of thing. I'm assuming that's what it was. She was bullying 11 years old. They had slam books when we were our age. I'm assuming it's that kind of version of that.
To be honest, it was all of these girls together just being mean to each other. Not being nice, not friends. Just this group just slamming each other.
Okay, well, this is the difference. See, if they were boy gamers, the kind of things the boys say to each other and call each other. I've walked in on them. Do you guys even like each other? You know, playing video games. It's just I just have to ask. Sometimes you play video games with people, you're on the same server, you don't necessarily like them, but you play with them all the time. No, they're friends. And it's like, you know, even me as a guy who knows these kind of things, you guys are awful to each other. But
I remember that time we had to stop Michael and here, eat this. And you know what he did? He goes up in the camera. Oh, this burrito is so good. I remember that.
boys, but in the sense, that's how boys are having fun. See, for them, that's fun. So you do have to be careful to make sure that this just isn't this group's dynamic where they're, you know, if they're a bunch of tomboys and they're tearing each other's apart because they're gamers at heart and trolls and they're just having fun. If that's the case, then you leave it alone. But I suspect, because 11-year-old girls are different than 11-year-old boys. 11-year-old boys are mean to their best friends, and they're nice to the people they dislike.
They're concerned that she's going to become a bully, you know, from this type of behavior.
Have a discussion about time and place.
Okay.
It's perfectly fine. You and your small group are sitting there tossing about insults to each other. Y'all know it's coming from love and for fun. That's fine. You don't do it on the unpopular kids because that's just wrong. You can rip your best friend a new one. You cannot do it to the person who's unpopular in school. Right? There's a difference there. And so that's the kind of thing. Right? You stand up for
Definitely had that discussion.
you stand up for the person who's unpopular, right? You rip your friends a new one, but you stand up for the people who are unpopular. Those, you know. So that's the thing. Make sure. So before you act, make sure it's actually some kind of Mean Girls thing, rather than just some friends ripping each other's gaming habits apart. You know. Yeah. Okay. What's next?
Parents can't agree on whether to let kids go to summer camp. Now they're 10 and 12, and mom says, the two girls, that they just aren't ready. And dad says, let them go and try their hand and have an experience without us.
I'm with dad here.
They're 10 and 12.
They're going with
Nah, for once, I 10 and 12, I agree. If it would be any younger, you know, I think it would depend on the child. But 10 and 12 in a very controlled environment, like a summer camp, good heavens.
And they've got each other.
They do. You know, and what? They can't write you? They're not allowed to have phone calls? Come on, stop it.
No, this is the stereotypical overprotective mother. Right? Her kid's got to go off to summer camp for a couple weeks or something, and she's been taking care of them, and they're off on their own. Something can happen, and yes, something can.
Something could happen.
Something happens to some kid every year at one of those camps.
It does.
And this year it might be yours.
Maybe.
But you know what? Everybody will learn something from it. You cannot raise your kids in a bubble. They don't learn. You know, dad is right. They need to go off and experience life and start to become themselves, because one of them's going to do it in 6 years, whether mom's ready or not. And the tighter she tries to keep control, the wilder that experience likely is. You're increasing it's not a guarantee, but you're increasing the likelihood of rebellion in some form or another, and you don't want that. So yes, let them go have some fun.
I see tattoos in their future.
Tattoos.
If this keeps up.
Tattoos, piercings. Well, you never know. Mom might be okay with tattoos or piercings.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Or
just under my supervision.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of those things.
Yeah, I never gave them any anything to rebel against regarding tattoos.
This is a
and
16-year-old
piercings or
sneaking out to a
anything?
college party if for things she's got going.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it for tonight's episode of Late Night Love. If you felt something, learned something, or just enjoyed the conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and do all that fun social media stuff. Until next time, have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.